It's less different than I would have thought for the children. A little bit, I think people pay more attention to my kids now than anybody paid to us then. But we were, because of the integration crisis, we were very much thrown into the public eye as children. We were the first children here in the mansion for many years. Really, there had been the Godwins had one daughter who died early in their term in office, and besides that, there hadn't been any children here in a long time. So I think we got a lot of attention, and so I don't really think, in a sense, there's been a gearing up of how much you pay attention to all of that. The royalty treatment, I think, is a little bit different now than it was when we were kids. But not as different as you might think. We had a great time. We, as I say, my parents encouraged us to approach it with a sense of fun. I remember we had. It's funny because we've had now a couple of evening formal dinners where I haven't included the kids. It just wasn't, anything that I thought they needed to do their homework, etc. But I do remember, I'm going to have to work at that, because I remember as a child being invited to, we very much participated in when we had special guests. We were always at the dinner table, and we're not supposed to be quiet, and we were encouraged to speak up and ask our questions. And I remember talking with the visiting Secretary of State from the President Nixon's cabinet was here for some kind of state visit, and eating at the dinner table and pass the salt, and what do you think about what's going on in Israel, and kinds of things. So those were very exciting times. Very much, as I say, I really do like to follow her model. I definitely remember her being very much in the spirit of encouraging independence and children making their own decisions. I remember when my little brother Dwight was going to Carey School, and was John B. Carey School, and the teachers there were the open experimental school variety, and we're encouraging her to let Dwight choose his own clothes at age 5 and 6, and if he wants to, wear pink and orange combinations, let him wear what he wants to, and just encouraging people to make decisions early on, that kind of thing. And that's definitely been my parenting style. Sometimes it backfires. These children think they're little adults very early on, but in the long run, I think it's been the right strategy for us. Well, I think that, especially in the teenage years, so especially for my boys, the kids are so oriented towards their peers. They so much want to be with their buddies. And Nat's age group is just starting to get their driver's license, so he hasn't got his yet. So I think it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. We lived in a very neighborly neighborhood. Both of my boys had easily a half dozen or more good friends within a 2-block radius of our house. And so they haven't, for instance, had real scheduled existences. My son Woody didn't play on a football team. He just rolled out the front door and saw whose yard are we in today after school. And you can't exactly do that down here. And likewise with Nat, his friends have always been literally at his doorstep. Either they're rolling into our basement or they're rolling into somebody else's basement every afternoon after school. So for him and for Woody, it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. They have to make a little bit more effort to connect up with their buddies.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
But we're blessed by the fact that we're in the same town, so they're really only a few miles away from their friends, and Nat's friends are going to be driving. Some of them are driving already. They'll be driving soon, and they've had lots of buddies down here already. Anella, the 10-year-old, is, she's already used to having me kind of plan her social life a little bit for her, and we've been doing, thanks to the help of the security folks who are happy to drive her just about anywhere, just about any time. She's, having her friends over here to play and going to their house to play pretty much as she did before. A little tiny bit more work. People worry about, is this going to be just the right thing for just the right child? And I have more of a sense of children are more resilient and flexible than we give them credit for being. And I know that some folks might have looked at some pieces of my education and gone, oh my gosh, how could her mother send her off to Mosby Middle School? And I did great at Mosby Middle School. I had some great teachers and some good friends and learned a lot and went on to do well at other public schools in other, I ended up graduating from the Fairfax County Public Schools, which was where we were living by then, and my Richmond Public Schools education served me well when I got there, and so I give my kids a little credit that they are going to they're likely to bloom where they're planted, and the sense also that I'm happy to have them not only getting a good education, but in the classroom, but getting a good education in terms of the diversity of the folks they go to school with. In terms of, I like the fact that they're getting to make a contribution, even just by being part of the school system that they are.